What is up, guys? It's me, Zachary, back bringing some more NBA news and update. Hope you're all having a fantastic day, but as always, you guys already know that we have a heck of a lot to talk about today, so let's not waste any more time. Let's just get right into this. Let's go. First up in the news, I guess the upper management for the Phoenix Suns still believe that it's the head coach's fault that this team hasn't been able to win any game, as we got reports out late last night informing us that just after one measly season of being the head coach of the Phoenix Suns have decided to fire head coach Igor Kokoskov because the team only won 24 games. With NBA insider Adrian Wojnarowski reporting this, Suns plan to bring Kokoskov back for a second season, especially after the team's stronger play in the late stages of the season. Kokoskov has been a well-respected tactician who becomes another victim of the constant turnover in Phoenix. The Phoenix Suns haven't won more than 24 games in their past 4 seasons, and they are now searching for their 5th new head coach over this span of time. Yeah, the team hasn't been able to win more than 24 games, and they've been firing coach after coach after coach after coach, essentially trying to blame the coach for the reason why they haven't been able to win any game. Phoenix, clearly this isn't the coach's fault. Like Adrian Wojnarowski just reported, Kokoskov was a well-respected coach when he was an assistant coach for the Utah Jazz before he became a head coach for the Phoenix Suns, and before the season there was a lot of hype around Kokoskov that he could be one of the best rookie coaches in the league. The Suns were excited and everyone was happy for Igor Kokoskov, and yet they fire him after one season, just like they've done every other coach for the past 4 years. Next up in the news, with his team down 3-1 in this series to the Philadelphia 76ers, owner of the Brooklyn Nets Joseph Tsai has protested against the NBA for how this series has been officiated. As he did this publicly, the man took to Twitter a couple of days ago to post this. "My partners and I have spoken, and the entire Nets ownership group support our GM Sean Marks for protesting the wrong calls and missed calls. NBA rules are rules, and we respect that, but our players and fans expect things to be fair." And of course, the NBA promptly responded to this by fining the owner of the Nets $35,000 for these remarks. But it wasn't just the owner. The owner was talking about the Nets GM Sean Marks protesting the NBA officials. And for those of you that aren't aware, Sean Marks actually did something that I think is unheard of for any NBA general manager to do after Game 4 against the Philadelphia 76ers. As after Game 4, Marks decided to enter the refs' locker room to talk with them about how the games were being officiated. And the main point he was trying to make to the refs, according to Woj, was regarding Embiid's flagrant 1 fouls in Games 2 and 4. Those fouls were called flagrant 1, but Sean Marks believes that they should have been called flagrant 2, and a flagrant 2 foul means that Joel Embiid should have been ejected from those games. And there's no question that if Joel Embiid was ejected from the games, that the outcomes very well could have been different. And I'm just gonna say this, I think if the officials are going to call a flagrant 2 foul on Andre Drummond for pushing Giannis Antetokounmpo in Game 1 like they did, ejected him from that game with the quickness, then yeah, what Joel Embiid did to Jared Allen Games 2 and 4 definitely deserved a flagrant 2. Then again, I'm not for seeing players get ejected during the NBA playoffs, especially if it's in a close game. But if refs are going to be calling flagrant 2 fouls against players for one thing, and then another player comes along and does something that's even worse and only gets a flagrant 1 foul, then it doesn't add up. It doesn't seem fair. It doesn't seem like the officials are calling the games the right way. I mean, there's no consistency in calls like this, and I can understand why Sean Marks and the Brooklyn Nets would be upset. For our next story of the day, Luke Walton is facing some legal trouble, it seems, as we got reports out yesterday out of nowhere saying that the newest head coach of the Sacramento Kings is facing some sexual assault charges. Okay, so apparently this took place when Walton was still an assistant coach for the Golden State Warriors, and the person that he allegedly assaulted was Kelly Tennant. According to legal documents obtained by ESPN, Walton allegedly invited Tennant to his room so they wouldn't be seen together by any Warriors players. He then allegedly pinned Tennant to the hotel bed and forcibly kissed and groped her. Tennant also claims that in 2017, Walton forced an aggressive hug and made lewd remarks about what she was wearing for a charity event that the two of them attended. And even though this supposedly happened years ago, the entire NBA is just becoming aware of it now. The NBA said they had no former knowledge of this. Golden State Warriors said they had no former knowledge of this. The Los Angeles Lakers said they didn't know anything. And of course, the Sacramento Kings, who just hired Luke Walton, said that they knew nothing about this before they hired him. With them all saying something along the lines though, we are aware of the report and gathering additional information. We have no further comment at this time. We also got word from Luke Walton's attorney, and according to Luke Walton's attorney, first of all, these claims are 100% baseless, and second off, Kelly Tennant is simply trying to accuse Luke Walton of this to gain some notoriety. Luke Walton retained me to defend him against these baseless accusations. The accuser is an opportunist, not a victim, and her claim is not credible. We intend to prove this in a courtroom. Now, I should note that once again, this is Luke Walton's lawyer, so you would expect him to say nothing else besides what he just said. He's of course not going to come out and say, yeah, Luke Walton most likely did it. It is what it is, but I'm still trying to defend him in court. Now, me personally, I can't say too much on this because we don't know a lot of the facts right now. It's literally just a he said versus she said, so yeah, we can't prove anything. But what I will say is that stuff like this is becoming way too common. We're starting to see this pop up in the news more and more and more. It just happened with Kristaps Porzingis like less than a month ago. And now here we see it again with Luke Walton. And what I also want to say is most of the time, at least in the NBA circles, these claims that people make against players, coaches, anyone in the NBA often turn out to be found false, proving that nothing really happened. It didn't go down that way. I mean, it's very rare that these accusations are true, which is messed up because the things that these people are being accused of are terrible, terrible things. And if people are doing this just to try and secure a bag or get some notoriety, some publicity, that's just beyond twisted. And this is just my personal belief here, but I think if you accuse someone of doing something like assaulting you, knowing good and well that they never assaulted you or it didn't actually happen that way, but you're still going to accuse them and try and take them to court over it and mess up their entire life, then I think if that person is found not guilty, then the person who made these claims should face the same charges that the person they were trying to charge had to face. I mean, how are you going to get away with this scot-free when you clearly tried to ruin this person's life? Next up in the news, well, I mean, I guess the Pistons just got swept by the Milwaukee Bucks yesterday, and I want to say that that game yesterday was very interesting. I was actually able to go to the game. My first ever playoff game, so that was dope. Shout out to the NBA Playmaker for hooking me up with tickets, by the way. But I want to say that this game in no way was called fairly. I typically don't like to complain about refs after just losing a game, and I'm not nearly salty enough because I had already come to grips with the fact that before this game started that the Pistons were most likely going to lose, that this was most likely going to be the final game of their season. I already knew what the outcome was going to be, but just seeing some of the calls that they made in person yesterday kind of left me freaking dumbfounded. It was literally to the point where it seemed like the refs were calling fouls on Pistons players for breathing on Giannis. A lot of either phantom calls or tic-tac calls that shouldn't have been called, and the crowd at the Little Caesars Arena was for sure letting the refs know about it, as so many times throughout the night the fans broke out in refs you suck chants. Blake Griffin even joined in when he was on the court.
Of this season, a big bulky brace of playing.
It was bad, and it was only getting worse seemingly as the game was going on, until eventually it was at the point where the Pistons could no longer even compete in this game. Foul after foul was called, and eventually that led to the result of a 127-104 Milwaukee win. And Blake Griffin, who played on one leg and a hobbled knee after the game, even took some not so shuttle shots at the refs, as he said, "Giannis shooting 8 more free throws than our entire team. You're not going to win a game like that. And their team shooting 41 free throws, you're not going to win a game like that. Some of that is on us, ... and that's where he kind of left it off. But we all know that he would have said more, especially pointed the finger at the refs. However, there's no point in drawing a fine from the league like that when the season is already over, so he just opted to save his money. But yeah, Detroit shot what, like 12 free throws this game, while Giannis Antetokounmpo himself shot 20, and the Bucks as a team shot 41. And just like Blake Griffin said, said, you're not gonna win a game when that happens. You have absolutely no chance of winning when stuff like that happens. Sure, some of it was on the Pistons. They did commit some boneheaded fouls here and there, but I'm just saying, there was a heck of a lot of beyond questionable calls made in that game. It was bad. As for the Bucks though, congratulations to them for winning this series, and they now are set to take on the Boston Celtics in round 2. The Celtics beat them in 7 last year, but this is a completely different Bucks team and the Celtics are healthy now, so this should be a very interesting series to watch. And for what will be our final story of the day, the Utah Jazz have officially prolonged their season as facing elimination down 0-3 in this series to the Houston Rockets. The Jazz, I mean, Donovan Mitchell completely erupted in the 4th quarter. Donovan Mitchell scored 19 of his 31 points in the 4th quarter as the Jazz outscored Houston in that period 31-12 to claim the 107-91 win. Pretty impressive for a second-year guard who for the rest of the series had been struggling big time. To take over the 4th quarter in an elimination game, I mean, not many players period would have been able to do that, let alone once again a second-year player. So even though the Rockets are still going to win this series most likely, this will once again provide a great learning experience for Donovan Mitchell as he continues to grow into a player that will hopefully lead the Utah Jazz much deeper in the postseason in the very near future. That is going to do it for everything that we gotta talk about today though, guys. Hope you enjoyed the video, and if you did, as always, go ahead and annihilate that like button, as well as make sure that you are subscribed to the channel with post notifications turned on so you can stay up to date with everything that goes on in the NBA and throughout these insane playoffs. Thank you once again for watching though. You guys already know that you are the real MVPs, but that being said, until next time, keep getting the buckets, Team SDC, and I'm out of here. Peace!